Hello everyone and welcome to round 2 of the Nebula League's rFactor F1 2015 Championship. We're here in Spain today going around Catalonia's circuit for 33 laps, 153.62 kilometres to this track and a total of 16 corners. The tyre options for today will be the wets, intermediates, medium and hards. The tyre wear is actually really high, so expect a lot of drivers to be doing 2 and 3 stops depending on how fast they are and also depending on how hard they are on their tyres. Last year's podium looked like this. Fred Bodden took the victory, Sam Markham came second and Craig Baxter came third. The championship standings are Craig Baxter actually leading the way, Sam Carpenter in second and Fred Bodden in third. There, I'll now hand you over so you can see how qualifying went down and who got pole position in Catalonia.
So here we are starting a lap of the Circuit de Catalunya with Sam Carpenter accelerating down the long main straight and reaching nearly 200 miles an hour before the heavy braking zone at turn 1. Down to second gear, be careful not to run deep in order to get the best run through turn 2. Now the very long and high speed turn 3, flat out all the way through and up through the gears, nearly reaching 7th gear before braking down to second once again for another very long right-hand corner at turn 4. Accelerate up to 5th quickly before braking yet again, this time down to 1st gear for the downhill left-hander of turn 5. Get on the power nice and early and let the car run out wide using all of the track. 3rd gear for turn 7 and then flat out for the climb up the hill to turn 9. A bit of a lift at the entrance of turn 9 for Sam, and he hits the apex nicely, carrying as much speed onto the back straight as possible. Watch for the braking point just before the 100-meter board is once again dropping down to 1st gear for the hairpin and the start of the final sector. Very tight and twisty in this section. Sam using an almost double apex line for turn 12 to get the best exit speed for the short run to turn 13. Very tricky section now to end the lap, as you've really got to hustle the car through the chicane while scrubbing as little speed as possible, and then flat out through the final corner to finish the lap for a 1:20.550 for Sam Carpenter.
Starting in the front row then, we have Sam Carpenter in the Williams with Fred Bodden sitting in second in the Ferrari. On the second row, we have Kieran Chadwick and Callum Knighton in the Mercedes. On the third row, we have Craig Baxter and Sam Markham in the Force India. In the fourth row, we have Ben Sale and Liam Mangan, both in the McLarens. In the fifth row, we have Scott Davison in the Toro Rosso and Czesmir Bernatsky in the Marussia. And in the sixth row, we have Andrew Mitchinson and Max Shepard. In the final row, we have Richard Taylor and Tom Martinez with no time set.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Spanish Grand Prix. I'm your commentator Craig Baxter and I'll be commentating alongside Max Shepard for this race today. You can see the cars are just filing into their final grid positions as we await for the red lights to come on before we can start racing here. That's 1 light, 2 light, 3, 4 and 5 lights. We're waiting for them to go out and we are racing here in Barcelona. Sam Carpenter's got off to a really good start. Callum Knighton's almost went off the track at the beginning. That's allowed Craig Baxter up into 3rd position. Kieran Chadwick's losing a lot of positions as well, which has promoted his teammate Sam Markham up into 4th. He's going to go for a move and Craig Baxter into turn 1. Can he make the move stick? Liam Mangan's also gained a few positions off the start there, so a really good start for the McLaren driver. That's Fred Bodden though on the back of Sam Carpenter as we approach into turn 3. Can he make a move? Going for a move round the outside, and can he get this move stuck?
It was actually very important there for Sam to get away nicely, but he's now heading into turn 5 now, side by side with Fred Bodden. I'm not sure who finished the corner ahead. I think it's just about Fred Bodden. I think they're going to be side by side going into this corner, and it's going to be interesting to see who gets the better run out. But is there a little bit of contact there? I'm not quite sure. Might be lag or something.
Not quite sure if there was contact between the drivers, but Fred Bodden's going to have a look up the inside of Sam Carpenter into this hairpin if he's close enough. Going to have to go for a late braking move. He does. Can he make this move stick? No, he's ran deep. That's going to allow Sam Carpenter up the inside. The other cars are pushing them through this 3rd sector, but Fred Bodden's going to have the move up the inside, sweeps in front of Sam Carpenter. Really nice move as the cars are still battling in really action-packed racing.
Yeah, Carpenter sitting now in a Ferrari sandwich. He's got to get a good round at this corner just to keep hold of the position. I think there's another Williams on the back of Knighton there getting a bit of a tank slapper. But I think the field's starting to spread out now, so it'll be interesting to see actually if the lead stays in Bodden's hands or if Sam manages to get it back.
Yeah, you can see Max Shepard going for a move. I think that's on Liam Mangan there in 7th position. So Max managed to gain a few positions as Liam's squirming out of turn 2, struggling with the rear end of that car, not able to make the overtake into turn 1. And that's Scott Davison in the pits with a broken front wing. He's going to have to get that repaired down in 12th position. I don't think we've seen what happened to him, or he might have went off at turn 3 or 4. Hopefully we can get a replay of that.
His front wing damage, so he might have gone into the wall. It's probably gone into the wall, but we're on board with Bodden here, looking back at Carpenter. He's started to build a little bit of lead, but he's not pulling away from Carpenter just yet. He's just going to try and the tire wear is quite bad in this track, isn't it? So you're going to be looking at probably a 2 or a 3 stop. A 2 stop if you can manage the tires nicely, but a 3 stop most people are going to try for, I think.
Yeah, the cars seem to be really close as that's Max Shepard going for a move on Liam Mangan, making the move stick up into 6th position. Fred Bodden seemed to eke out roughly 4 to 5 tenths to Sam Carpenter. Craig Baxter's not losing grips on them as well, with Sam Markham right on the rear end of his car. So Fred Bodden leading into the start of lap 3 then, coming around the final corner for the second time. And Sam Carpenter, is he close enough to make a move as we cross the line?
I don't think he is, not quite yet. He's going to get a bit of slipstream heading down this long straight, but he might actually be close enough to make a move into here. He's looking to do it, but he just doesn't carry enough speed through there, and Fred Bodden brakes a bit later than him, so that's the move not completed. But he's got to look out for Craig behind. Craig's just sitting there, just maybe making to make a move if these two ahead have contact, basically.
Yeah, you can see the cars filing through here, still closely packed, and that's Force Indy of Kieran Chadwick in 8th position, so he's lost a lot of ground starting 4th in the grid, so he's actually lost 4 positions, and that's him gained a position, so a really, really terrible start from him. We might get to see exactly what happened, maybe just wheel spin off the line, as Sam Markham's in 4th, still trying to chase down Craig Baxter.
Yeah, so I think Sam had a pretty good start. He's keeping up with the front 3. I think the front 3 are definitely the quickest people on the track at the moment, and Sam's not doing too bad a job to actually keep up. But he's got, I think, Callum Knighton right behind on track, so Knighton's going to be able to. He's going to try and make a move on this straight if he's close enough. But front 5 here running very closely. I think it's Shepard sitting in 6th at the moment. He's probably 2 or 3 seconds back.
Yeah, we can see the cars coming through. You can see the gap there to Shepard and Mangan and Chadwick behind. So Sam Carpenter not close enough again going into turn 1. It seems like Fred's managing to get a really good exit out of the final corner and just not able to close the gap. Carpenter is anyway to get actually past into turn 1, but you can see the dirt air through turn 3 is really affecting the cars in the way they have to take a more shallow line into the corner so they can stay with the car ahead, and that's actually making them lose a lot of time. You can see they're starting to bridge a gap to Baxter in 3rd position.
I think Baxter might be saving his tyres or fuel and just sit back here to just let the front 2 battle out and just use their tyres up too quickly. But I think Sam's gained a bit of a time on this lap here. He's closing a little bit up to Bodden, but he's not quite close enough to make a move. If he gets good traction and slipstream on the straight here, might be able to make a move into the hairpin, but he's just not quite close enough. So it's a bit of a lock-up from Bodden there, and that's actually Baxter that span. So it's a bit of a strange accident there. Was he just on the throttle too early, or did the rear brakes lock up?
It looked a bit odd. He went into the corner with normal speed, and I think he maybe just outbroke himself, locked the rears, and that was him round. So that's him down into 5th position. Then he lost ground on Callum Knighton and Sam Markham. So Sam Markham now promoted up into podium positions, looking to replicate what he did last year and finish 2nd on the grid. But Sam Carpenter, is he going to go for a move into turn 1? He's right on the back of Bodden here, switches to the inside, just not close enough to get past. And that's Sam Markham holding position on Callum Knighton. You can see Max Shepard now possibly able to get a move done on Craig Baxter.
I think it's the outside line for turn 1. It definitely looks a better line through the corner than diving up the inside. You just get a better run through that corner and carry much more speed than having to dive down the inside. We've seen it on, I think, this lap, and I think it was lap 3 or 2. Just Fred's managed to just keep up the inside, but we're going to see a replay of Sam Markham's start here. Going to see the lights going out, and he's had a bit of wheel spin, and Callum Knighton's actually had a lot of wheel spin there. You can see on the right his teammate Kieran Chadwick had an absolutely awful start, sitting in 4th there. Markham's had a good start. He's managed to sit in the slipstream of the Ferrari, but is he going to try and move? He tried to move around the outside there, but it just didn't quite work.
Yeah, we'll be able to see here from this camera. Have a look at the Force India on the right hand side of your screen now, getting a really bad second phase of the start. Not too bad launch, but just seemed to bog down massively in the second phase, and a lot of cars went past him. You can see he's dropped to 7th position, then goes down to 9th after cars going around his outside. That's Max Shepard actually fighting him for position. That's really close between those two, but I don't know what happened there. It would be good to see an on-board. I think maybe just the second phase of the start, he just didn't kick in and just got a horrible launch.
He might have killed his tyre temperatures a bit too much on the warm-up lap. You're going to see Knighton here trying to make a move, or is that Sam trying to make a move on Knighton? I'm not quite sure, but Markham just sits it up the inside and brakes a bit later than Knighton and manages to keep hold of the position.
Yeah, this track is very hard to overtake because of the dirt air, and it will really hurt Baxter's race, especially just being stuck behind these two, so he's going to have to make a move as soon as possible and try and get past. But at the same time, Knighton seems to be really, much faster than Markham, and he's just struggling to get past because of this dirt air, especially in the middle sector. You just want to try and take, as Knighton almost loses the car coming out of that corner. You can see the back shot of Markham's car. He's just coming up round this corner, and the cars behind just struggling to get on the power as they come round the corner.
I think Knighton's pushing very hard at the moment to try and get past Markham. There's a bit of a gap above Markham. I think that's maybe 3 or 4 seconds in the moment, and I think Markham's actually holding up Knighton at the moment, which is hurting Knighton's race quite a bit. And obviously he's got a bit of a train sitting behind him, so there's 5 or 6 cars actually sitting behind Markham at the moment, and he's holding them up quite a lot as he actually peels off in his pits. And I think Knighton almost hit Baxter there. Baxter managed to get past, so was that a miscommunication, like Knighton going to the pits?
It looked like he wanted to come in the pits. Yeah, I don't know if he wanted to come in the pits or not. It
looked like he sort of backed out, and then it was a bit of a late move and he got oversteer, but Markham is coming out the pits now. I think it was a good stop from the Force India team, and I think he's going to come out in probably 10th position at the moment. Yes, he's coming out, I think, in 10th at the moment, so it's a good stop from the Force India team, but it's quite early to stop, don't you think? Usually it'd be lap 8, wouldn't it?
Yeah, lap 7 or 8 especially, even if you're wanting to do a 2-stop, that is, maybe he's going for a 3-stop and going to go for 2 stints on the option or the softer compound of the 2 tyres. Possibly in the practice session he found that was best for him. Maybe he's hard on the tyres, but lap 6 is really, really early to stop in this race. You see that's Baxter past Knighton then coming in, and he seems to actually be having a train of cars behind him as well, so maybe he's struggling with his tyres as well. Now we're on to Sam Carpenter, who's in 2nd place right now, outbraking himself. It's going to skip the chicane, making sure not to gain any time from that, and he's into the pits. So you can see already drivers making mistakes, and that's Carpenter into the pits, attacking that pit lane really well. What position will he fall down to then? Will it be a good stop? I think
he's going to be probably 5th or 6th at the moment. I'm not quite sure on the gaps between the drivers, but it was a good stop from the Williams team. He's getting a lot of wheel spin actually coming out of the pits, but you can already see the gap. Yeah, I think he's going to come out in 4th as there's quite a few cars in the pits. I think that's Knighton right behind Baxter, and they're head to toe, just very, very close there. And I think Baxter just managed to keep the position coming out of the pits.
Yeah, you can see those drivers are really closely bunched up together, and it looks like Knighton's not able to jump Baxter in the pits, and he's managed to hold on. He's in 9th place then. Callum Knighton running a decent race considering his pace in qualifying, managing to do well from him. He wanted to start doing better in the races since his race pace has been good, especially last season. You've seen he was able to almost win a few races just out of sheer race pace rather than qualifying pace, so expect him as that. Sam Markham getting ever so close to Richard Taylor as we come up to this right-hander now. Can he stick it down the inside? I don't think Taylor's made a pit stop yet, so he's on old worn tyres and he's still battling with these guys.
Yeah, he's definitely not made a pit stop yet, and his tyres are just dying at the moment. He locks both front tyres heading to that corner. He just went straight. I think Sam's got the better tyres. He's going to have the better run out of here. They almost make contact going to that corner. It was an incredibly close overtake there. As he's the race leader, Fred Bodden, he is pitted, and he's going to come out the pits now.
Sam Carpenter jump him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who actually comes out ahead. Depends on who is going to come out. And Sam, I think he's actually going to pass Fred Bodden as he was in the pits.
Sam Carpenter into the race lead then. As you can see, Callum Knighton go for a move to the inside of Craig Baxter into turn 1. Can he make it stick? Baxter on the harder compound tyre now. Knighton needs to get past on those soft tyres. He's going to be suffering loads, and you can see Taylor still not pitting. So that's 9 laps on the soft tyre. I think he's on the softs anyway. Do you know if he's on the softs or the hard?
I think he's on the mediums there as he locks up again. I think that's going to allow Craig Baxter to have a good run into this corner. I don't think he'll go up the inside. I think Richard Taylor's sitting on the inside line, and he's locked up again, so he's locking up a hell of a lot. And it's an incredibly brave move to actually just stay on tyres this long. He might be trying the two-stop. It's definitely possible if you're staying out this long, but he's losing a lot of time in a lot of positions as well.
Yeah, I'd like to correct what I said there. I said the soft compound tyre, when in fact the 2 compounds available for this track are the medium and the hard. I meant the softer of the 2 compounds. You can see Taylor still locking up as Kieran Chadwick's going to go for the move on him here. He's just losing far too much time, and this just isn't good enough for his race to stay out.
Yeah, he's losing far too much time. He'll probably go into the pits if he's just going to try and stick to his strategy at the moment. But I think that Max Shepard might be making a move into that chicane there. We're not quite seeing, but I think he actually did. Is that Taylor skipping the chicane?
That's Taylor skipping the chicane and into the pits, and that's Shepard gained the position.
So on board with Knighton here, he might make a move onto Craig Baxter here into turn 1, but Baxter just sitting his car in the middle of the track there. Knighton getting a bit of a tank slapper coming out of turn 1, and he's just going to sit in the awful dirty air here of turn 3. It's just an awful part of the track to have dirty air and to just follow a driver through. The slipstream doesn't really negate the disadvantage of dirty air this track, but I think he's actually closed a little bit up on Craig Baxter.
Yeah, he's going to go for the cutback here as we approach the middle sector, this long left-hander as it goes uphill, but is he close enough to make a move? No, still not. Knighton's race is really getting affected here, stuck behind Baxter on the hard compound tyre, whereas Knighton's on the mediums, and he just can't seem to get close enough into any corners. Baxter's just placing his car in the correct positions. Knighton unable to get close enough out of the corners where he needs to be, especially the last corner as he's struggling with the rear, trying to get the throttle down as early as possible to get a run, but Knighton just seems there's no way past for him.
I think that's it's allowing Chadwick to close right up behind him. It's Sam Markham's teammate. I think he can just at the moment just sit back and conserve his tyres and then maybe push for an attack if these two have a bit of contact. But Liam Mangan getting a bit of a tank slapper into the hairpin there, and he might actually spin the car. He's managed to keep hold of it though, and there's good car control. But I think he was just braking on the curb there, or on the grass on the outside of the circuit. I'm not quite sure what happened there.
Yeah, you can see the 2 McLarens running in 10th and 11th. Not a really good start to this race. They've started on the 4th row of the grid, and they're already... Well, one of them's already out of the points. Not an ideal start for them, but they're hoping, if they can stay in this race, maybe hope for some action up the front, maybe some mistakes, as that's Knighton, I think, getting ever so close to Baxter, under braking, locking the tyres, really pushing to get close. Will he be able to make a move this time around? No, still no. Baxter's just defending as he almost loses the car on exit. This is going to allow Knighton up the inside. No, he backs out of it once again. So it seems like Knighton's not been aggressive enough to try and get past Baxter here. Is he going to go for a move this time around? Just not close enough.
I think he could have made a move up the inside of that flat right-hander, but he just didn't. He wasn't aggressive enough. If he took a more aggressive approach, he could have made a move. As he's closing, you can just see how close
he's almost
he is
pushing
to Baxter.
him there.
He's pushing him through the corner, and he might make a move into the chicane. It's an overtaking spot, but once again, he just decides not to go for it. He's backing out when he could go for these overtakes. And that's just allowing Baxter to just sort of hold the position, even though he might be slower than Knighton in the moment, but he's managing to hold the position together. Are they closing? Is that just me, or are they closing up to Markham there?
Markham seems to be really struggling with the brakes. You've seen him locking up into turn 1 there and a few corners before as well, but Carpenter on the medium compound tyre, the softer of the two, compared to Bodden, who's actually went onto the hard. He's creating a gap here. You can see he's already 4 seconds or 5 seconds, that is now, ahead of and that's Markham spun the car. He's round and he's off into the gravel, and that's him down into 4th, 5th, and 6th.
He's just managed
now
to keep it out of the wall. It was a bit of a weird spin there coming through that corner. He might have just been on the throttle far too early, but he screwed up his tyres, but at least he's not managed to get damage from that spin. He managed to keep out of the wall, which was very, very lucky considering how that spin is, and you can see he's getting more oversteer through that corner, so I think his tyres are going to be very overheated at the moment.
Yeah, you seen, as we said, he was struggling with the locking of the fronts, and I think he just went into that corner too fast or put the power down too early, because it didn't see, that's not a normal spinning like that's not a normal corner where drivers would make a mistake and spin. It's really really not necessary to try and push there. I just don't understand what happened.
You usually understeer through that corner, but if you're on the throttle far too early, then you can definitely get oversteer just like any other part of this track. But we're on board with Baxter here, looking back towards Knighton. These two are still battling. It's lap 13, so it's been a battle since I think lap 6 or 7, as a bit of a lock up there from Craig Baxter. And that's allowed Knighton to close up a little bit. But once again, you're going to see that the time gained by Baxter there through the corner. Knighton actually goes off the track. That's just the effect of the dirt air in this track. It causes the cars to understeer a lot more, and also causes the tyre wear to be a lot worse than usual.
You can see Markham, he's not able to close the gap on his teammate Chadwick, who's running just closely behind these. I think Chadwick's on the harder compound tyre as well. I'm not sure if he's on the hards or the mediums, and he's managing to stay with those drivers, if not closing up. You can see Bodden, he's on the hard compound tyre. He's not able to stay close to Sam Carpenter because of that, and you can see in the distance Carpenter's just increasing this gap again and again and again, lap per lap, and you can see it getting bigger and bigger. You can see him going around the final corner now, actually locking up, so Carpenter's pushing really hard. This is the moment in the race where it really matters for him. Bodden's going to come out behind him in the pit stops, and most likely going to have to go as fast as he possibly can, qualifying hot laps in the end to be able to catch Carpenter, so we're going to be in for one hell of an end to this race.
We're on board with Ben Sill here in the McLaren. I think he's closed up to, I think that's Richard Taylor in the Sauber. Taylor's not having a too bad a race. He's still in the points at the moment, but he's locked up and going straight on there. And I think is that going to allow Sale up the inside? I think it is, and I think that's the move completed for Sale. He just locked up his front brakes there going into the hairpin, and that cost him the position. He's locking up a lot, Taylor is. And it's very strange to see a driver lock up that much. He might have overheated brakes or something, but he shouldn't really be locking up that much.
No, it seems like he's really struggling with the brakes. I don't know if he's got an issue with the brakes, or maybe there's a failure on maybe one of the discs or something, but it seems really, really odd. Is he able? No, he seems to be losing time to Sale in front. You can see once again he's off the track. He's managing to slow it down, so I'm really wondering if he's having an issue. And we go on board with Zesimir Bernatski then in 11th place, running his own race, racing by himself anyway. He's actually racing with Scott Davison, and he's in for the hard compound tyre. I don't think he's got damage to the front of that car.
I think he's still got his front wing. You can see the end plates on there. Is that his second or his first pit stop? Did he start on the hards, or?
That's Davison actually jumping him in the pits. That's Davison up into 11th place then. That seemed like a really long stop to me. Do you not think?
Yeah, he might have had damage and chosen to repair it, but long stop there. As you're on board with Taylor here, he's sitting behind Ben Sale in the McLaren. He's lost a little bit of time, but he's actually managing to keep with him despite the brake problems that Taylor's having, heading to the last two corners now. And
he's really clouting those curbs as well.
Yeah, going a lot over the curbs. I think Sale actually had a tank slapper, and this might allow Taylor to get past. He's definitely got a better run on this straight here, and he'll be able to make a move right down into turn 1. And they're side by side coming to turn 1 now. Just depends who's going to brake later, as Taylor, I think, is going to complete the move, and he's made the move stick despite having quite worn brakes, to be honest.
Yeah, Sale not able to retaliate back because of the dirty air through turn 3. You can see him running wide, almost off the track. Taylor, really nice move from him, not making a mistake, actually locking his brake into turn 1 still. But as we go on board with Callum Knighton, you can see that he's still not been able to get past Baxter for this, and he's actually peeling into the pits, lap 16. So he's going to be going for a 3-stop, or Yeah, he's going to be going through a 3-stopper then, because surely he won't be able to make his tyres last to the end.
It's a definite 3-stop strategy. He manages to stop his car just in time for the marks, and I think he's definitely trying the undercut on Craig right now. He knows he can't really get past him at the moment on track, so he's going to try the other option, which is to overtake him in the pits. He's definitely going to try and push at the moment there, as we see a McLaren off, and that is Liam Mangan. And you can see the front nose it's almost like a step nose there. He's gone into the wall. Is that turn 6 or 7? I'm not quite sure on the turn numbers, but car definitely damaged there. So you see the race leader coming past him, I think. That's the race leader coming past him. But we're on board with Max Shepard here. He is sitting behind, I think that's Sam Markham in the Force India. I think Markham had a spin in the last sector, so that's allowed Shepard to move up past him. But it's going to be looking. Do you think it's going to come up to the second pit stop now at this point?
Well, the people that are on 3 stops will be pitting now, because you see Knighton in for the pits. But as you said, he trying to undercut Baxter, but Baxter's on the harder compound tyre. So as Max Shepard loses the car on exit, spinning it around, managing to not hit any barriers, just seemed to put his foot down too early coming out that corner and spinning the car round. And I think that's allowed Knighton, it's actually for position, because Knighton's on brand new tyres as what we're saying. So Shepard could hinder his race here as he goes sideways through that corner. That's allowed Knighton. Is he going to go for a move down the inside? No, he's not. He's going to get a run though out of this final corner on brand new
he's
fresh
going to get a better run through this corner.
tyres.
And they're heading onto the straight now with Slipstream. I think Max Shepard's going to try and defend, but he probably knows that this position is lost, to be honest, as he almost forces him into the McLaren of Liam Mangan there, and Knighton moves up the inside to take 5th position, and that is move completed. But Shepard's going to try the cutback here, but it's just his tyres just aren't fresh enough. Knighton's on fresh rubber, so that's allowed him to keep the position.
Yeah, Knighton just able to get past there. Shepard really aggressive, almost as you said, forced him into Liam Mangan coming out of the pits there. That could have ended really badly if it was another second or so later, Mangan coming out of the pits. But I think sensibly managed to get through, and Bodden, you can see, still on the hard compound tyre, now 8.7 seconds to be exact, behind Sam Carpenter, and he's on the hard tyre, seems to be really struggling as his last few laps have not been up to pace, and Carpenter's still pulling away even though he's on the softer tyre.
Do you think Carpenter will be pitting soon? He pitted on lap 8 or 9 if I remember, so
how long are the softer compounds supposed to last?
I think 9 laps at most, 10 laps. It depends on how you drive and how your driving style affects the tyres, to be honest, because smoother driver, obviously the tyres are going to last longer, but I don't think Sam Carpenter's the smoothest driver, to be honest.
See, Cal Knighton's jumped Chadwick in the pits
quite a lot. I think, that's an overtake in the pits. Was that a slow pit stop for Chadwick, or was it did he just lose time in his in-lap? I'm not quite sure there.
I think Chadwick seemed to be on the soft tyre, the softer tyre of the two, the medium compound tyre when he came in, so he's really worn his tyres out and lost a lot of time on that in-lap, and obviously Knighton was on fresh rubber and he was able to have a really good outlap and actually jump him in the pits, or stay ahead of him in the pits actually, because I think on position Knighton was ahead. That's on board with Sesmir Bernatsky. He's still running his own race, just chasing down Scott Davison, and he's also lost the car on exit, so that's the second driver of the day to lose the car.
It's a similar accident to Shepard. He spun it again, so I think his rear tyres are overheating far too much. He's gone through the sponsor sign. Not very nice for sponsors there, but he's managed to continue the car. I think he's going very slowly at the moment to just let people pass, but that is race. I think he's going to try and get back to the pits, but I don't think he has damage.
No, I don't think he has damage at all. It just seems like he's made just 2 mistakes that just really don't have to be made. You can see Shepard in 6th position coming into the pits, then attacking the pit lane as well. 60 miles an hour or kilometres an hour the pit lane is, and you can see locking up, almost missing his pit box. He's dropped to 7th place. He should coming out in that region as well, hopefully ahead of Markham, because I don't know if he's been in the pits yet, because those two were racing for position.
I don't think Markham came into the pits. I think he's just stayed out at the moment, but he's gonna Shepard's going to come out of the pits as you see a Sauer peel into the pits as well. I believe that is Taylor as the race leader comes on to start lap 20, I believe, or lap 20. He's still got a lead above Bodden, but his tyres must be going off at some point soon. These medium tyres they're not going to last
13
too long.
laps. He's been able to take them as he almost loses the car.
He's gone sideways through turn 3 there, as we see third place man Craig Baxter. He's going to peel into the pits now. He's probably going to go on to the hard tyres. If he can make them last to the end of the race, it could be a
he was on the harder tyres.
So is he going to go into the hards again?
That's him on the medium tyres. So as you've seen, Carpenter was able to take his, or is on the 13th lap of his medium tyres, and that's what Baxter's opted for. So he thinks, is he going to take those tyres to the end, or is he going to go for another?
It's definitely going to be a push to take those tyres to the end. Definitely going to be a push, because I think Baxter might be anticipating some battling ahead, and that's obviously it's going to degrade the tyres a little bit more. So I'm not sure whether he'll be able to take the tyres to the end, but it's going to be very, very close if he manages to actually do that. But Carpenter coming through the last 2 corners now to start lap 21. He's going to peel into the pits again. It's going to be interesting to see whether he comes out ahead of Bodden. Do you have the gap to Bodden behind?
The gap was 10.2 seconds coming round the final corner. But Bodden's he's still staying out, I think.
I think Bodden will definitely come past.
That's him started the lap 21 then, so Bodden has passed, but he still needs to make another pit stop.
So it should be very interesting to see who comes out ahead now. Carpenter's going to come out in second, but Bodden still has to make that vital pit stop with only 12 laps to go. So do you think Bodden will manage to catch Carpenter at the end with fresher tyres? Do you think he has the pace to do that?
Well, Carpenter he was able to pull 10.2 seconds ahead of him. That's Bodden actually lost the car into turn 5. He's able to get it running again. That's definitely not the plan he wanted, to get ahead of Carpenter before the end of the race. That's really going to hamper him, and definitely won't be anywhere near Carpenter when he goes into the pits. So he's lost a lot of time there. You've seen Carpenter was coming around turn 3 as Bodden entered turn 5. So the two drivers are only separated by 8 seconds on the track now, so Bodden's got a real task ahead of him if he really wants to win this race now. He's going to have to push as hard as he ever has. You can see him struggling on these hard compound tyres, so it really does seem like the hard compound tyres doesn't last as long as the medium tyres, which is really surprising actually.
Is Carpenter on the hard tyres or the medium tyres?
Carpenter is on the harder compound of the two, yes.
So I think Bodden will be coming he must be coming in for mediums then.
Yes.
So they'll be on different tyre compounds for the last 12 laps of the race, which will definitely help Bodden. So we see the race leader come past, and I think the gap's probably going to be about 10 seconds maybe between these two. It's always going to be a little bit more up because of Bodden's spin, but it's going to be interesting into this race, definitely in the last 11 laps.
You can see Chadwick going for a move on Knighton as they actually got out ahead, and Bodden's actually came out behind Baxter. So Bodden's got Baxter to pass, Knighton to pass, and Chadwick to pass before he can even think about chasing down Carpenter in first position.
I wonder if team orders will come into place in the Ferrari team. I think Fred's definitely on the better tyre compound. Was Chaz or was Craig on the? Was he on the mediums or the hards?
Baxter is on the medium tyres, so he's going to be quick as well.
Same tyre compound. So I wonder if they're going to let
they're
each other
head to head
pass.
in the championship. So I don't know if they'll be. It's only race 2.
Yeah, I don't think team orders will come into place. I think Fred's going to have slightly fresher tyres, maybe by a lap or two, but it's not going to make that much difference in terms of race pace. But you can see Baxter's definitely going to get held up through the last sector here. It's Chadwick right on the back of Callum Knighton here as they head into the last 3 corners, and I think he's going to try and make a move on the straight, but depends all on his launch. He's definitely got a better run through there. As you see lap traffic coming up ahead, that might also play a part. He tries to steal the slipstream of the Toro Rosso there. Not quite head to head coming into the first corner, but he's trying to get more and more slipstream as he switches to the outside line heading into turn 1. He's going to have a better line heading to the corner, but Callum cuts across and manages to keep the position. But you can see there how close Baxter is. He's going to try and overtake these two as quickly as possible with those fresh tyres.
Yeah, Baxter's really getting close. Chadwick's on fresher tyres in comparison to Knighton, so he's on the harder compound tyre, and it's basically a copy of what happened earlier in the race with Baxter, just people unable to get past him, and that's him going to try and hang it round the outside of Chadwick here. Is he going to try and cut back the inside? No, Chadwick's still got the inside line into this corner, but Baxter switches back to the inside. Is he able to get up? Yes, he is. Chadwick outbreaks himself. Bodden is now coming round, and Bodden's going to try and hang it round the outside here of turn 8. Is he able to get it done? He's got to stay within track limits, and that's him passed as well. So is Chadwick going to come down the inside? He's going to have to.
I think Baxter's just managed to keep hold of position there. He just stuck to the inside of the trap. There's almost contact there between Bodden and Baxter as they head into the final sector of lap 23 now. Knighton's definitely struggling with tyres as we see a spinner there. I believe that is Mangan who spun at the exit of the corner there, and it's an incredible battle between these 4 or 5 cars just heading through the last corner.
Knighton peeled off into the pits, so he's going to be doing a 3-stopper as we thought.
I think he'll definitely manage to make the tyres last, the medium tyre last until the end. He's going to be very quick at the end of the race as well if he manages to catch up to the pack there. But I wonder which position he's going to come in. It's probably going to be 7th, maybe, or 6th.
He should be out in roughly 6th, yeah, ahead of 7th. He should be.
I can't hear it. I can't see any car coming down the straight there, so it's definitely going to be 6th. And he's going to be in clean air, so he's going to gain a lot of time, I think, on that pack, but it's whether he has the number of laps to catch up.
But are those is this pack able to go to the end? Well, Bodden probably should be, but Chadwick pitted on the lap later than Knighton, so is he going to come in? Because he's on really worn tyres, and you can see he's just losing grips on the 2 Ferrari drivers ahead, so it seems like those Ferraris might be able to.
It all depends on how much time Carpenter loses out in front. He's winning this race by, I'm not sure in the gap at the moment, is it 5 or 6 seconds? A bit more than that?
7 seconds, so Bodden's closing it. Bodden is closing down really, really quickly.
I think there's definitely an amount of laps for Fred Bodden to actually catch Carpenter ahead, but
that's lap traffic.
Lap traffic coming up ahead, so will that play a part in this battle as we see Chadwick head into the last corner now? He's dropped a little bit back from the 2 Ferraris as you see the lap traffic. I believe that's Sauber. Yes, it is a Sauber. I believe that's Taylor letting lap traffic by very nicely. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting end to this race as Carpenter, as you see, is out in the hard tyres, just controlling his pace. He's gonna try and push as much as possible on this tyre. It degrades about the same amount as the medium tyre, which is a bit strange, but it's about a second a lap slower with only 8 laps and about 6.5 seconds gap to Bodden behind that. Will he be able to hold onto the lead of this race, do you think? Well,
you've seen how hard it was to overtake in the middle stint for Knighton to get past Baxter, but it all depends who's actually going to be the quicker of the 2 drivers. And Mose Carpenter, is he driving cautiously right now, saving fuel in preparation for what could be a real good final showdown between the 2 front drivers?
Yep, definitely going to be a great showdown between the front 2 or 3 drivers. Baxter is still in it, but he pitted a little bit earlier, so he might have to manage his tyres a lot more than the front 2. Bodden definitely has the chance to push as much as possible without really caring about his tyres. His tyres will be very worn at the end, but I think by the end of the race, he'll probably manage to catch up to Carpenter. I think, was that Baxter getting a bit of a tank slapper coming out of the final corner? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, he seems to be struggling with the tyres already, and there's still a few more laps to go as Bodden locks the inside rear tyre, and you can see him just eking the gap from the 2 drivers behind. It seems Chadwick's actually dropped 3 seconds behind from Baxter, so he's definitely struggling with his tyres, and I don't think he'll be able to make them last to the end, so he's going to be pitting as soon as possible, but that will mean Knighton will probably get in front of him, so those 2 will be battling at the end as well if Chadwick tries to pit for a new set of tyres.
Do you have the gaps between Knighton and Chadwick at the moment?
The gap is 15 seconds, so he will come out ahead.
15 seconds, so it depends if Chadwick decides to pit or whether he decides to just stay out and just wing it, but he's going to struggle at the end of the race a lot with.
That's going to be 16 laps on the medium tyre.
I don't think that's possible, to be honest. Definitely
I don't think that's possible at all.
No, he's going to have to pit. Basically, the medium tyre should last about 10 laps if you can push it to the max. If you can just keep that tyre going as long as possible, it will last around 10 laps. But 16 laps, that is a long time to go on the medium tyre. And I think
Carpenter done 13 laps on the first stint, but there's Chadwick into the pits. So he's going to come out behind Knighton. You'll see Knighton. It's another car into the pits. That's Markham as well. So will they stack?
I don't think they will.
It's really well timed.
And you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, Knighton's actually going to pass Chadwick for 4th place in the race. So it's worked out well for Knighton. But do you think he has the pace to catch the front 3? There's still a bit of a gap to Baxter ahead, but
they're still lapping. They're still lapping quickly. They're only lapping a couple of tenths a lap slower. So
I don't think there are a good enough number of laps to really catch the front 3. There's only 6 laps left in this race. As we see another car into the pits, it's Scott Davison. You can see there's a lot of damage to the front of his car, and has he gone to the wall at some point? We might see a replay of that. But he's going to pit very late.
That's the second time this race as well.
His front nose cone is completely bent out of shape, and he's gonna pit for a new set of tyres as well as a new front wing. But going to be interesting to see whether he has the pace at the end to get any positions. But I just don't think there's the number of laps to really catch up.
You can see him finally getting lapped by Carpenter. I think that's the second time he's going to be lapped. So Carpenter's still out ahead, and we'll be able to see the gap between Bodden and himself. You can see there it's quite a big gap, and Baxter's holding on. You can see Baxter is still holding on to this, so we could actually be in for a 3-car battle before the end of the race. And
Carpenter's heading through Sector 1 now. It's going to be vital for him to save his tyres and possibly push at the end. He'll need to push at some point in this stint here to stay ahead of Bodden, but it's going to be very interesting to see the pace difference between Carpenter and Bodden at the very end of the race.
Yeah, you can see Bodden really pushing and really striding ahead now. You can see he's actually created a 2-second buffer to Baxter, who's actually stuck behind the Toro Rosso. That's not going to do him any good. You could see him actually kicking up dirt trying to get past him there. As Bodden, we can see the visual gap. You can see Carpenter at the top of your screen. He's going to have to start pushing if he wants to stay ahead. Bodden's currently gaining 8 tenths a lap on him now, so at this current rate it probably won't be enough. So Bodden's going to have to push even harder than what he currently is.
If it's a constant rate of gaining time, I don't think he will catch him, but depends on how Carpenter's tyres really react at the end of this race. They might actually go off a lot more, especially if he makes a mistake or if he slides through a corner too much or if he locks up, something like that. It might go. The pace difference might go up even more. If it's 8 tenths at the moment, but it might go up to 1 second, maybe 1.2 seconds a lap.
Yeah, Bodden's on the softer compound tyre, but as you said, the hards are really, really slow in comparison, and they seem to be dropping off at the same rate, and the lap time delta loss is actually more, so we could be in for a good finale. We're just going to have to wait and find out how well Sam Carpenter's maintaining his tyres out in front is going to be a big factor to this. You can see Callum Knighton and Kieran Chadwick, those two are probably going to be battling at the end of the race as well. Chadwick with 3-lap fresher medium tyres, and those two are probably going to be battling as well in the final few laps, because Chadwick's eking out 1 second on that last lap. It's probably going to reduce this time around, but he's still catching him at a really fast rate.
I think the gap's only 3 seconds now with 4 laps to go, and with Chadwick gaining the second lap, they're definitely going to be on each other for the last 2 laps probably of the race, but the question is whether Chadwick will be able to actually overtake. It's been seen earlier in the race that it's quite hard to overtake in this race. So we're on board with race leader Sam Carpenter heading through the first 2 corners now. His tyres are definitely going to be very damaged at the moment in time. There's a bit of traffic up ahead. I think is that in the McLaren? I'm not quite sure, but you can see him missing the apex quite a lot just because the amount of understeer he's getting. Will he be able to make this apex? Just about. he's having to go very slowly through the corners now, and he's not getting as much traction at the corners as well, which is damaging his race.
Is he just
pace a lot.
maintaining the tyres, do you think? Or is he pushing?
He doesn't seem to be pushing at the moment, so he might be just saving his tyres. Obviously, he doesn't want to make a mistake. If he's pressured into mistake, he's essentially lost this race, and he could finish fourth, especially if he spins as he locks up there.
Yeah, you can see Bodden in the rear of your picture. The gap is visually reduced massively since the last time we've seen it. You can see Bodden's closing it ever so slightly, and the gap's at roughly 5 seconds. So 5 seconds in 3 laps. Do you think that's possible?
I think it definitely is. You can see how much Carpenter's struggling going through the last 2 corners there, and I think he's going to continue to struggle as they're both on the same straight now. It's going to be very close at the end with just 2 or 3 laps to go. It might actually come down to the very last lap of the race for Bodden to catch up and overtake. It depends if he's aggressive enough, and will he go for the overtake on the last lap? Because if they have contact, it's going to be Baxter's race to win, I think.
Baxter seems to be really struggling with his tyres now. He's lost 3 seconds on Bodden. So will Bodden's tyres wear off as fat? Because Bodden pitted a couple of laps later, so his tyres drop off in the same fashion as what Baxter's did. As you can see, Chadwick's actually closing down on Knighton as well. As we said, these two are going to be battling in the final lap of the race if the gaps keep coming down the way they are. It seems like Knighton's struggling as he locks up into the corner, making mistakes. That's not what he wants to do. As Chadwick's really a man on a mission right now, setting the fastest lap of the race, last lap around, so he's really, really pushing to try and get past Knighton for this 4th position.
I think at this rate, he'll definitely catch Knighton in the race. There's 2 laps to go and half a lap of this lap to go. So, and you can just see how much Knighton's struggling. He's locking up into that corner as well and running a little bit wide. So he's struggling like hell at this moment in time. And what lap did Knighton pit again? It was probably lap 20 something. I'm not quite sure.
He pitted on 24, so he shouldn't be struggling on his tyres.
He might have it's 8 laps on mediums, so they're not exactly perfect at the moment, but he shouldn't be struggling that much, especially with lower fuel.
Baxter's been on his tyres for 12 laps, so you would think he would be able to keep them in condition. I wonder if he's just that harsher on his tyres because it is lower fuel, but you would think it would be less of a factor anyway, but it seems like he is really struggling with the tyres, as you said.
Yeah, it's a lot of drivers in the race struggling with their tyres. The preferred pit strategy would be a 3-stop, but and you can see most drivers are on a 3-stop, or quite a lot of drivers on a 2-stop as well. But a lot of drivers struggling with their tyres. It's because the amount of battling really in this race. Drivers have been pushing their tyres quite a lot to catch up to drivers and to defend positions, and that's had a big effect on tyre wear. You can see Sam Carpenter. You might see the gap in a minute if the camera looks behind, but heading on to the last lap of the race now, and I think he'll just be able to hold onto this position. He's got maybe a 3 second gap to Bodden behind.
3.4 seconds is the gap behind, but Bodden's got traffic to get past, so will he be able to get past this McLaren into turn 1? No, so that's going to definitely hamper a lot of hopes. You can see he's actually almost losing the car and went straight into the wall there, so he's definitely pushing as hard as he possibly can. It seems Carpenter has this in the bag though. He seems to pull out pace at the end of the race, and it just seems Bodden's tyres just fell off the cliff in the end. He just isn't gaining as much as he'd need to get past, and you can see Chadwick right on the back of Knighton now, as we predicted as well, but that dirty air is just preventing him from getting ever so close to actually make the move.
I think Bodden anticipated Carpenter's tyres going off a lot quicker than they actually did in the race, and that's hampered his race really. It could have been Bodden's victory, but you can see Knighton locking up there. He just about makes a late apex to the corner, but Chadwick pushing right up behind him, getting a bit of oversteer through that last corner, and they're going to be right next to each other on the straight. So do you think he'll make a move into the hairpin? He might actually make a move into the hairpin coming up.
He's ran wide and he's into the gravel, and that's definitely slowed him down and stopped any chances of making the move into making a move into the hairpin anyway. And you can see Carpenter coming round the final corner then to take his first victory in the Nebula rFactor League in Barcelona. Catalunya circuit is where he wins his first race. Fred Bodden in second, Craig Baxter in third. We can just imagine what battle it could have been if the two Ferraris didn't make any mistakes, especially on the medium compound tyre at the end. And it's Knighton going to finish ahead of Kieran Chadwick, 4th position for him, and Kieran Chadwick in 5th position.
Very close battle between the Force India and the Mercedes there.
Yeah, a very close battle between those two, and Markham coming across the line in 6th. Had a really good start to the race, really good initial race pace, but just seemed to fall away in the end with a few spins which hampered his tyres and had to make him do a 3-stop for this Grand Prix. You can see Sam Carpenter's going to be really happy with that race win, and that actually puts him in the lead of the championship. So the donuts are well appreciated by the fans, and you see Bodden doesn't seem to be too happy with 2nd place. Moving on to the race classification after 33 laps of the Catalunya circuit, Sam Carpenter took the victory ahead of Fred Bodden in 2nd place. Craig Baxter rounded off the podium with Callum Knighton and Kieran Chadwick behind. Sam Markham came 6th ahead of Ben Sale, Richard Taylor and Scott Davison in 9th place. Liam Mangan was the first person not to score points, with Kieran Chadwick setting the fastest lap. Matt Shepard disconnected during the race. Sesmir Bernatski DNF'd alongside Andrew Mitchinson and Tom Martinez, who stalled on the grid, which is a shame, but hopefully see them in the next race. Driver standings after round 2 then, Sam Carpenter now takes the lead ahead of Craig Baxter, Fred Bodden, Callum Knighton, Liam Mangan, Max Shepard, then Kieran Chadwick, Sam Markham in 8th, Ben Sale in 9th, Richard Taylor in 10th, Scott Davison in 11th place, the last person to have any points. You can see everyone else with 0 points. The constructor standings then, the Ferrari take a 20-point lead after this Grand Prix over Williams, then Mercedes in 3rd, McLaren, Force India, Sauber, Toro Rosso the last team to have any points, ahead of Manor Marussia, Lotus and Red Bull Racing. On to next Grand Prix then in Monaco for round 3. It will be around the street circuit of Circuit de Monaco. It will take place on Saturday the 30th of May. 45 laps to that Grand Prix, so it's going to be really exciting. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.